Hi everyone, welcome back to the Civrays InMoov. We're going to be putting the knees together in this video, but before we get into that, George has got a little present for Ralph.
Hello, George.
Hi, Ralph.
What do you have there?
It's a surprise. I'm going to open it for you. Here.
The hat. Is it feminine?
Yep, it's got InMoov on.
Thank you, George, and there a lot for the hat.
You're very welcome, Ralph. Enjoy the hat. Let's try out a lot. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that InMoov hat, and luckily that I had a lot with me, and it was very funny that I put it on Ralph. So I hope that you like the hat, or if you do like the hat, then leave a comment below. So let's continue.
So right, that's enough of those antics. Let's start looking at some of these knee parts. Just before we go over the 3D printed parts, I'll just show you here, I've got some M8 threaded bolt and I've just chopped it down to length. We'll measure that in a second. But this is actually from my original 3D printer, the old RepRap Mono Mendel that I used to use, which was an awful printer really, but yes, that went to the 3D printer graveyard in the sky. And I've actually chopped it up here and we've recycled a couple of its parts to use in the InMoov. So let's measure those just to check on their length. Yeah, you can see I haven't been terribly accurate with the way I've cut those, and I've got one slightly longer than the other. The longer one of the two is somewhere between 110mm and 115mm. To be honest, I think even that's a little bit short, and we probably should have cut them both at 115mm. Now I've also got a couple of choices that I can do here. I've got these shake-proof washers. And they're really if you've got any vibrations to stop it vibrating loose, but we probably don't need them because these are static legs, they're not really going to move. Don't think we're going to have any problems with that. Then I've got these nuts. I've got half nuts. If I stand them up maybe you can see a bit better. So I've got half nuts or I've got full nuts. So we've got a choice of what thickness nut I use there. M8 nuts obviously to match the M8 bolts. So we'll see when we get to that and we'll make a decision. I was also thinking about putting plastic caps over them, but that'll probably have to wait until another day. So regarding the 3D printed parts, you've got the large black parts around here. These are the knee lower, and then you've got the white parts here, the knee upper. I think they'll fit like this, I believe. And they're like that, but we'll get to that in a second. So they're the main knee parts, the lower and upper knee. We've then got these bolts, what they call bolts. I believe these are knee bolt and these are knee bolt small. You need 4 of each. I originally didn't print enough of those, but you do need 4 of each of them. I think they come out in pairs when you print them, so you need 2 pairs of each size. And then finally we've got these pieces here. The name eludes me, but you'll find them on the InMoov.fr website, and we need to glue these together. So that'll be the first job, be to glue these sections together. They go in the back of the knee, round the back here. They'll slot in there. Then that will sit on there like that, I believe. It's not going to sit there, is it? And then the thigh sort of slots into that, and the purpose of these is just to hold the knee rigid so it doesn't bend, because these are static legs. So the first job, is to glue these 2 parts together. I'm continuing to use this Mitafast glue with the activator as I used previously on the tibias. So I'll try not to get the glue right to the edge. I've probably overdone that a bit. Line up the notches at the top here. Going to try an elastic band to try and keep a little bit of pressure on it. Seems to be a little gap in here. So I put a couple of elastic bands on them to just keep a little bit of pressure on them. I'll leave them there to set, although the activator probably has set them immediately. I'm just going to put them to one side for now. We'll move on to some other parts. So I'm going to use these screws. They're black, M5 by 40. They're a domed head with an Allen key fitting in the end. And I thought they'll look particularly nice in these black parts here. They're pretty low profile. I thought black would look better than silver, and they fit quite nicely in these parts, but I think in the tibias we're going to have to drill them out. They do just about go in some of the holes. Some of them are, this one at the back is a little bit too tight, so I'm just going to drill them out with a 5mm drill. We don't need too much. So what I've done here, I wanted the heads of the bolts to be at the top of the knee and to go down into the tibia with the nuts at the bottom, like I've got here. The problem is you can't get your hand inside there to hold the nut once you've got the knee on top. You have got this little access hole here, but that's not big enough for me to get my hand through. So what I've done is I've put the bolts in with the nuts on, and then I've super glued the nuts to the plastic. And now I'm kind of hoping that I can get the bolts out. This one seems to be working okay. And hope that I haven't super glued the nut to the bolt, because I've done that before and that can be really difficult to remove. So I'm hoping that I can now get these 4 bolts out of here, pop the knee on, and then put the bolts back in. Okay, that did work. You can just see the nuts glued in there now, and I've managed to get all the bolts out. They didn't get super glued in. I apologise for the noise in the background. My wife has decided to turn on the tumble dryer, so we're just going to have to tolerate that. And I've also lost my little cameraman, so I'm having to do the filming myself now. So I should now be able to bolt on the lower knee. So I'll just get all 4 bolts in and then we'll tighten them up. This is the second leg. I've done the same, put the bolts in, nuts are in there, and I've glued them. So I'll just let them dry a little bit. Whilst we're waiting for that to dry, I'll continue a little bit further with the other knee. So I'm just looking at the first part of the thigh actually, and wondering if it might make sense to deal with this now, because I think once I get the upper part of the knee attached, I don't think I'm going to be able to get these bolts in here. I'm going to use M6 by 25mm bolts to bolt the top of the knee to the first part of the thigh. And I think we need 3 bolts. It looks quite interesting actually. These are slotted holes in here, and they're a little bit rough because I've been drilling through them. And they have even slotted recesses for the nuts as well. And it looks like an M6 nut is going to fit in there. I think I'm a bit... I haven't actually got too many M6 nuts, but I think that will fit down in there. It's a little awkward to do things and keep the camera going. Yeah, it's probably a perfect fit actually. So it looks like the 2 nuts sit in there, but there's a third hole here, and it's a little bit different on this one. There's actually a recess in the knee. This is the top of the knee, and there's a little sort of house-shaped piece in there, and I believe that's where we fit the nut. Try and get another nut. So I believe that will slot in there like that. I'm hoping it will fit. Looks very tight. Yeah, there we go. It's just about got that in there. It needs a little bit of force, and that'll just push in there. I'm hoping that when I tighten it, it'll pull it down. I'm just looking down the hole to make sure the hole in the nut lines up with the hole there, and then the bolt should go through it. So let's give that a go. So I put the bolt through. I haven't quite tightened it yet, but it's probably, this is a 30mm bolt. I think I lied about the size of that other bolt. I think I said that was 25. It wasn't, it was 20. This one's 30, and it's just barely long enough. It has gone into that nut. If you could just see it in there. Probably could have done with 5mm longer, but this will be fine. We might need longer ones for the other ones as well. Then yeah, I think we'll use 30mm bolts for all of them. So the M6 by 30. Try this one. Got to try and locate it into that nut. Yeah, the nut. See, I need to get the nut lined up because the nut isn't lined up with the bolt down there. It's close. It's not quite right. I wonder if I can just tweak that a little bit. Just highly technical. Just moving it a little bit with a file. Let's keep trying. I'm not sure if it's screwing in or not. I think it is. Let's have a look. Maybe. Not really sure what order to put the parts together in. I think it makes sense to do this before we attach the knee. So there, that's gone in there. Now that is probably perfect length, that one. Just coming through the nut, just a little bit sticking out the other side. So these are 30, and 30 does work on the middle one, but we could have got away with 35. Let's try this last one. got that a little bit too close to one side. See if I can encourage it over. So apologise, I know you can't see that. It's not quite lined up, but I'll work on that in a second. Start putting the bolt through. I think I drilled out all of these holes to 6mm. It doesn't feel. Go. So I'm probably not quite lined up with the nut. We'll have a look. Yeah, not quite right. Again, see if I can just encourage it over. Feels like it's not quite going to work this time. There we go. Yep, we got it. So I'll tighten them, but not super tight. I'll do that one a little bit more. Yeah, it's quite a strong joint. So I think we've got a couple of choices now. We can either work on this front pivot or the back one. I think it might make sense to do the back one first. Let's think about this. So here's the two bits that we glued right at the beginning. Got to work out which one is the correct side. That one doesn't feel right. That one feels better. There's a slight angle on the cutout in there, so you just have to have it going the right way. I'll just we'll bolt it through in a bit, but I won't do that just yet. We might want to make some adjustment on it. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Feels like with it straight, that's quite a long way out of position, so we're probably going to slide this down a bit. Sliding back out a bit. I think I pushed that in there too far. Really apologise about the camera shots. There we go. So getting a little bit crowded on the bench now. I'm doing the other side as well, same as before. We'll use these M6 by 30mm bolts because I think I've realised the first one I put together here is not the correct one for this leg. I think it's for the other leg. It didn't quite seem to fit, and I tried this bit and it seemed to fit better, so I think this is probably the correct one. So we'll go ahead with this. See if I can get that in. So this bolt was just a little too short, but I think we can get away with it. It just grips into the nut. It's actually the last of my M6x30 bolts, so hope we don't need any more. I'll have to order some more to stock my drawers up. If you watch the mailbag videos, I don't know if anyone's watching those, but you'll see I bought a huge selection of bolts, all different sizes. So it's quite handy when I'm doing something like this, when I don't know what size bolt I need. I've got a good selection to choose from. Looks good. Parts fit quite nicely. Don't know if I did a very good job of cleaning that one up. Just going to loosen that middle one a bit. I think it's always a good idea just to put the bolts in loose, then line everything up and then tighten them. That feels better. Last one. Looks pretty good, so I'll tighten them. Yeah, that's two of them. Two of them built. Like I said, the bench is getting a bit crowded here. Okay, I'm going to have a second attempt at attaching the knee. I think I've got the correct top part this time. I had it muddled up last time. I'm going to try and attach this back clamp first. Go. Just in case of getting it lined up. That one on the other side. So they're the, I think they're called knee bolt short or knee bolt small. I'm not going to put the screws in the back here just yet. I'll try and attach this front hinge. There we go. That was the bit that wouldn't go in last time. We should be able to pop this side in the same. Oh. Use one that I've cleaned up. There we go. That's in. Now we've got these threaded rods that we looked at the beginning, so we should be able to put that through there next. And then go put the shake-proof washers on, or just experiment a bit with those. There we go. I've only done it finger tight. Finger tight, but I can't get it undone. I'll leave that. It's a little hard to show you in the camera shot, but we're kind of getting there. Now I didn't plan for the back, so I haven't got anything cut for the back. I've got some M8 bolts. I think that's typical. I've got kind of nearly every size I can think of, but that might work. I was going to say I think I've got every size I can think of apart from the one I actually need. There we go. Tighten it a little bit. It's a bit loose, so I don't want it to fall off, but equally I don't really want to tighten it right now. We don't really know how the leg needs to be arranged, sort of what angle we need on the knee. I think we get some flexibility in it. I think the knee will bend a little bit. The idea of this clamp here, I think I said before, is to keep the legs straight, because these are the non-motorized legs, to stop them from sort of collapsing under their own weight. But I think we do get a little bit of freedom. We can bend the knee a bit down to that point there where this closes right up, so you can have a little bend in your knee. You can kind of pose the robot how you want to do it. I think I'm going to have mine standing, so it will probably be fairly straight up like that. But I won't put the bolts in the back, and we'll have the flexibility to play around with that later. Yeah. So that one's pretty much done. So let's turn our attention back to the first one again. So the nuts have glued in there. I've managed to get the bolts out and the nuts have remained glued in. So we should be able to attach the black knee section next. The curve in the leg is the back, so the clamp piece goes to the back. Just being super careful because I don't want to snap those nuts off, they're not very secure. Again, we won't tighten yet. Last one. I really like this black PLA plastic. Looks really nice contrasting against the white. I wish the white was a little brighter. This black is really nice. This is actually, I'm not too sure, but the Iono black wasn't quite as shiny as the sort of budget stuff that I used. Okay, so I'll just try and line it up and then we'll tighten. Last one. Feels good. Yeah, I think it looks really nice how the black contrasts against the white. I'm probably going to change some of the ankle. I think I'm going to change some of this to black. I won't do that today though. So the first thing I'll do is try and get this clamp in the back. If the holes are lined up, they just pop in. There we go. Next we'll bring in this top part of the knee. And slide that down. It's looking good. I paused the video already with the leg laying out here, and then I continued working on it without starting the camera. So I've just popped that one down in there, and then we just got this one to go on this side. Should hopefully snap in. There we go. threaded rod in there. Not sure if I can fit the washers on here, so I think I've cut this rod a little bit too short. I think I just about get them on. I just thought it'd help keep the nuts from coming loose. I think once we decide how to position the leg, I'll probably do these up with a proper spanner. That'll do for now. And then one last thing, these are 65mm bolts. I just measured this. M8 by 65, they're cap head. Only just comes through the other side, so these are 65, probably could do with being 70. And there we go. 2 knees. So there we go, there's the knees complete now. We've even made a start on the thighs. Yeah, a little bit of a close-up of the knees. Okay, hopefully you found that of some interest. There's Ralph with his nice new cap. So as usual, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.